Good day, grade 11s. Today we're going to talk about the three different types of imperfect markets that we do get. I haven't forgotten about the graphs of the perfect competitive firm, how to draw them to indicate total revenue, total cost, and whether there's a profit or a loss. We will just get to that a little bit later. Okay. In the real world, perfect markets may not exist due to impurities in that market mentioned earlier. The presence of these impurities may result in three kinds of imperfect market structures, and they are known as the following. First of all, a monopoly. It's a Latin word, mono, meaning one. So, a market structure in which there is only one seller of a product or service that has no close substitutes. Entry into this market is completely blocked. Okay, so a good example here, it's all the companies that are belonging solely to the government, to the state, because they want to maximize the profits out of there. Think of Eskom. Eskom cannot provide proper electricity to us anymore, but we cannot make use of an alternative service provider because the market entry is closed for anyone else to enter into the market in a monopoly. Right, then the second one, an oligopoly. Oligopoly, olo or oli, actually means few. If you take it back to the Latin word, meaning a few sellers and a lot of, obviously a lot of buyers, but only a few sellers. And then the last one, monopolistic competition, is a common market structure in which firms have many competitors, but each one sells a slightly different product. Good examples here can be producers of toothpaste, can be restaurants, takeaway outlets, anything like that. Oligopolies, examples there is our airlines and also cellular network providers. And then monopoly, you just think of all the state-owned enterprises, Eskom, Telkom, Transnet. I don't know if there's a lot left anymore, since they are starting to close down one after the other because they don't have any funding anymore because of corruption. Imperfect markets, where entrepreneurs are known as price makers or price searchers. So price makers means they can decide what the price of a product needs to be. The characteristics of a monopoly, this is quite important if this is a possible essay question. There's one seller of the product, there's no competition, market information is complete, the nature of the product, there's no substitutes. They are known as price makers, and there's blocked entry. Barriers like legal restrictions, patents, copyright, and trademarks, control of scarce resources or inputs, technical superiority, economies of scale, and they make a long run profit. Non-homogeneous products, large amounts of starting capital. Some industries need millions as starting capital, like Eskom, Post Office, Middle Steel SA. Those are just a couple of examples. The private sector does not have these amounts of starting capital. They cannot enter the market. Legal consideration, new inventions are protected by patent rights. So if I have a vacuum cleaner and this vacuum cleaning business is owned by the government, I cannot go and make another vacuum cleaner. Alright, because according to law, how monopoly is protected is according to patent right. So only the first one that came up with the idea is then actually allowed to sell in a monopoly. Services like the post office are protected by law, and other businesses are prohibited from entering the market. Prohibited means not allowed. They are faced with demand curves. Monopolists decide at what point on the demand curve they wish to be, because they are the only supplier. Characteristics of an oligopoly. Oligopoly again means few. Competition. There are very few producers, sometimes as little as only two. There's few substitutes. Substitute means product that can replace another. Products can be identical, homogeneous, or highly differentiated. For example, motor cars or newspapers. They have nothing to do with each other. Then also we have pricing. Pricing decisions are interdependent. This means the pricing strategy of one firm can greatly affect the sales of the other firms. There's varied entry. Entry to an oligopolistic market varies from being free to restricted. They are faced with demand curves. Collusion. Collusion in South Africa, collusion is illegal according to the Competitions Act. Collusion is basically when businesses get together, for example the airlines, and they decide that they're going to sell all the tickets at the same price. So then basically the customer doesn't have the opportunity to choose the cheaper airline. Now they must make use of any one of them because the prices are the same. Price wars are often a result of oligopolistic markets trying to reach their equilibrium price. Collusion. This is just an elaborate definition that I put on here for you just to understand the concept. Collusion is an agreement between two or more parties, sometimes illegal and therefore secretive, to limit open competition by deceiving, misleading, or defrauding others of their legal rights, or to obtain an objective forbidden by law, typically by defrauding or gaining an unfair advantage. It is an agreement among firms or individuals to divide a market, set prices, limit production, or limit opportunities. It can involve wage fixing, kickbacks, or misrepresenting the independence of the relationship between the concluding parties. In legal terms, all acts effected by collusion are considered being illegal. Right, then this table is very important. Okay, so that is what I want you to do for today. In your books, your red books, you're going to make a table like this just to summarize the basic characteristics of each of these. If there is a question that comes from this topic, you must please know the perfect market very well, and as well as the monopoly. Oligopolistic competition, monopolistic competition, you can know as paragraph and short questions. Right, so the first one there, they list the characteristics, and then they list perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. So, number of businesses on the perfect is many, monopolistic many, oligopoly few, monopoly mono, remember, only means one, so that will only be one seller. Nature of the product on the perfect can be homogeneous, for example maize. Homogeneous means it fairly similar, it looks the same. Monopolistic competition, differentiated, for example cool drinks like Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Either standardized or differentiated for an oligopoly. And then also for a monopoly, there's a single good. For example, Eskom provides electricity, so it's only one product or service that they are rendering. Then entry or accessibility into the market. Perfect market, completely free. Monopolistic, relatively easy. Oligopoly is difficult. And monopoly is totally blocked. They don't allow anyone else to enter into the market. So some of these businesses like SAA that is not doing very well at this stage are gonna have to be privatized, meaning private businesses buying over government owned businesses, or they're gonna have to go 50-50 in a partnership. Information in the perfect competitive market is complete. For a monopolistic competition, it is incomplete. Oligopoly, incomplete. And monopoly, is complete. Collusion is not possible in any of the other markets, only in an oligopoly. Okay, it's where firms get together and they fix the prices. So here the consumer, the buyer, will always be to the disadvantaged. Examples: perfect competition, shares on the JSE, wheat, lamb, maize, computer chips. Okay, there's so many others. Monopolistic competition, pens, books, paper, bed and breakfast, car repairs. Oligopoly, steel, cement, light bulbs, cereals, cars, cellular phones, and banks. And monopoly is Eskom, railways, post office, and public utilities. A long run profits. Remember earlier on in my lesson yesterday, I referred to a profit being made on the long run or on the short run. Normally on the long run, it is a normal profit if it is applicable. Otherwise, it's on the short run, it's an economic profit and an economic loss. Okay, so for my perfect competition, they make a normal profit or loss. Monopolistic competition, normal profit or loss. Oligopoly and also monopoly, they make an economic profit or economic loss, or economic profit, economic loss. So there they are exactly the same. This table is very nice. It basically summarizes for you the characteristics. So there's a name of the characteristics and then each discussed here. So if you were to write it as an essay question, you must just write it out in full sentences to get 2 marks each. Alright, that is it for today's lesson. I'm going to post this one in the meantime. What I want you to do is just a table on the last page. I want you to copy that in your red book and write there, very important, because you need to know the characteristics of the different market structures.